Hey, welcome back to No Hype Beer Reviews. Unless it's your first time, then welcome. Please consider subscribing. If you do, hit the notification bell, daily updates. Really excited for today's video. Beer's courtesy of Pariah. Thanks so much for sending it off. I really appreciate it. It's Tuesday, and on Tuesdays I try to test my palate and drink something maybe outside my norm. I used to drink a lot of ESBs, and I have not had many lately, I'll tell you that much. So yeah, really excited to have one, and I thought, this will be perfect to do for a Tuesday. Proper ESB. I'm just looking at the can. They do a lot of pop culture references. Is this the carpet from The Shining? Is that what that is? Am I missing a reference? Nothing underneath. Proper ESB. Maybe I'm making it up. I'm pretty sure it's the pattern that was the carpet. Anyway, all right. Proper ESB extra special bitter. Proper is an condensation. Sorry. Proper is an exercise in modernization with an Oh my God! I swear I can read. With an undying admiration for the extra special bitter of yesteryear, we are putting a, quote, can do, will do, must do, end quote, mentality towards bringing you a fresh take on the style. It's the proper thing to do. In the glass, you can expect a deep amber color sporting refined hop notes of orange marmalade, peach, and grapefruit, supported by a beautiful biscuity treacle and toffee malt structure. This beer is for those who have come to appreciate classic styles of distinction without pretension. Excellent when paired with life's simple pleasures. 5.4% ABV. I don't have the right glass for this. They recommend a pub glass. I had one that broke a couple years ago, so I'm doing this glass, which looks somewhat like it. Skinny base gets fatter and then it gets skinnier again towards the top. Man, I sucked at reading that. That's beautiful. That is like this very soft brown, light caramel color. That is just beautiful. 3 fingers of head. It's, you start with white and you add a little bit of a caramel note. It kind of looks like those cowtails, like it's not the head's not quite as it actually doesn't look much like that. I'm just saying like those two colors together because the head's not as white as the sugar in those, and the caramel is not as dark as those. That's what's making me think of. Small bubbles, they're breaking up, starting to look a little sudsy on the top. But yeah, definitely looks like what I think an ESB should look like. And again, I used to drink a lot of them. It was a style I loved. I loved the lower ABV before I got into some of the bigger beers, like bigger ABV, arguably bigger flavor profiles. So, I'm hoping that it's kind of a trip to the past. But anyway, let's get into the aroma. I like that. Wow. I'm glad I read their orange marmalade. I don't know if my mind would have jumped there, but I totally get it. I get some nice toffee notes, a little, like, it's kind of interesting, this toffee tug of war with an earthy thing. But yeah, there is this, like, orange marmalade. Not overly done. For me, really, the two main things are the earth and the toffee. Yeah, it's kind of like being outside on a rainy day. And not that it has like wood or whatever, but it has like that kind of, like, that's what I mean by earth in this. And there's a nice sweetness to it. And yeah, I know I said like caramel with the color and everything, but the smells make me think toffee. I'm basically repeating myself over and over again, but like I really like this aroma. I kind of want to just keep going in. A slight floral note too, which is really pleasant. And it is unlike something I've had lately, so I'm like super stoked about it. Let's get into the glass. Cheers. Thanks again, Pariah. right off the bat, this drinks how I wanted it to. There is, I get what they're going for with what they were saying, like, new school brewing essentially for an older style. And I get that. But this is like 90% what this style should be, 10% artist interpretation, brewer interpretation, if that makes sense. That's kind of what I want, like the vast majority of this beer scratches that itch totally. How like your senses can bring you back to moments and memories. Totally reminds me sitting in certain breweries that made ESBs and drinking them with my buddies. So like it totally tastes enough like what I think an ESB tastes like to bring right back to those moments. But there is a little bit of their own spin on it, which I appreciate. It does have that soft toffee thing, but it really that orange, not as intense as when I usually use that as a descriptor in like an IPA. It's not that intense. I again like their orange marmalade thing. There is some sweetness, and it has that bitterness where there's a big learning curve with this beer because it has the word bitter in the name, and it's like no, it's not as bitter as an IPA or something. You can see how if you like old English style pale ales, how these two things are similar. It's super tasty. And yeah, it very much like the aroma. I'm getting more of that orange thing. Very much like the aroma has that soft toffee note before the bitterness kicks in. And that toffee, unlike the aroma, there's a little caramel mixed in. You get that orange. It's pithy. I hate to say zesty, but there's a little bit of the zest there. Because again, sometimes when you say things, it's one of the reasons that I think I repeat myself, is it's like, well, if I said this thing 3 times and this other thing 1 time, people will know the 3-time thing is bigger, or I'm enjoying that thing more, right? So I mentioned something. I don't want people assuming all these things are equal in this beer. That would not be true. The earth note, very pleasant. It's so interesting, not to compare this to an IPA, but like, I'll be drinking an IPA, double IPA, whatever, and I'll kind of harp on, and then this note brings me back to it being a beer. This is kind of almost the opposite of that, where it drinks so much like a beer, and then there are these moments where it's like, I think it's a little orangey, and it makes me think of, IPA is still a beer, but like, it makes me think of like a different style, than what it is, in a really cool way. Like, here's a really good example. There are moments when I'm drinking this, and even in the aftertaste, where like I think of Sierra Nevada's Pale Ale, which is cool. That orange thing. There might be a kiss of resin in this. That's really making me think of like arguably a different style, right? This I think this is quite good. Have you had this beer before? Have you had an ESB lately? What are your thoughts on the style? What are your thoughts on the name? Bitter? Have you maybe never tried it because it sounds too bitter? Anything, everything. Comment section below. Let's get a conversation going. Once you're done doing that, make sure you check me out on Instagram and Untapped. There's no hype beer reviews at both those places. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, imbibe. Cheers, everyone.